Mike and Phil, welcome to the Dylan Friends podcast, my friends. It's been a long time in the making. I've been trying to get onto you two for a long time, and the listeners are in for an absolute treat today. Welcome, firstly, Mike, to you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. It's good to finally be here.
Phil.
Thank you, Dylan. It's good to finally have answered your phone call.
I kept passing on to Phil.
You two are, look, I like to think I'm in demand. You two are the busiest men I've ever met in my life. And I think today we're going to understand why. We've obviously known each other for a long time. I know you're big fans of the show, which you're not, because you had no idea that I was even doing a podcast. I don't think when I spoke to you recently.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan, yeah.
Mike, did I tell you, Phil, the other day? Mike, I called Mike to come on the show. He said, congratulations. When did you get back from Sydney? I said, 2 years ago. And then he said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, he's stumbling. He's never been hit between the eyes. And I said, then he goes, oh, well, I owe you a congratulations on getting engaged. I said, that was also 2 years ago. So that was the last time he spoke to me.
And then when you promised me on this podcast, you said you'd fucking grill me on here, mate. It'll get you.
Yeah, dude. All right, we'll have to get that out of the way. Boys, I know, as I said, you know how it works. I like to go back to the start of how I know the guests. And for you two, we've known each other for a long time.
A very long time.
Phil, I reckon we've probably known each other since under 10s.
Yeah,
10 years old?
10 years old, 10, 11 years old, I would say. Yeah.
And Phil, and Mike, maybe, I reckon 13 or 14.
Yeah, well, I
started off as the waterboarding.
So for everyone that listens to the show, they know the infamous story of the best under 15s team of all time. Okay,
in the world.
So they beat the Toby Greens, the Jack Vineys, the Tom Mitchells of the world. Two of the illustrious role players in that team were you two. Yeah. And as you said, you were the water boy. I can fair say, and I hope you don't take this personally, you weren't there on talent.
Oh, man.
You were pure tone setter, as we'd say. You were setting the tone.
Vibe, yeah.
You were bringing the vibe.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Now, Phil, you were pretty handy.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I was pretty handy.
Do you remember because I played, halfback flank? Yeah. Chuck Mike.
Yeah, I think if we put him in the midfield, it would have been a different result.
Do you remember that one goal I kicked?
In the grand final?
It's like the one goal. It's like I ran the whole field. Everyone just kept giving it back to me because they're like, holy fuck. And I just put boot to ball. I reckon the whole team came and hugged me. And I was like, oh, this is the best. I fucking quit now.
Yes.
And I did. Never played sport again.
Do you guys look back now, and I don't think you would because you've absolutely dominated your own career path, but you look back sometimes, you see on the footy and you see Toby, Tom Mitchell, Jack Viney running around, you go, I actually owned them when I was 15 years old.
Yeah. I schooled the shit out of them in the under 15s premiership.
He does.
Let's go back to the start. You're obviously co-founders of Untitled Group now. You run Beyond the Valley, Grapevine Festival, fucking 15 others that there's so many out there that you're doing, nightclubs, everything, events, your talent, you do everything. And there's much more coming, which we'll get into throughout today. But how did this start? What was the idea?
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned the footy before because shout out to old mate Matt McLennan, our under 15s coach, decided, you know what, no, done with plumbing, I want to buy a bar, and bought the infamous Suede bar on Smith Street. God. Which had a lovely basement function room. And I'll never forget.
Nice and tucked away.
Yeah, nice and tucked away and hidden. And DJing was like, the cool thing at the time.
What was your DJ name?
Mashed potato.
Yeah,
because I did mash up, so it's fitting.
And because everyone was a DJ, Brock, Matt's son, Brock, Phil, everyone was. You were a fucking DJ, probably.
I think so. For just a couple of nights. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the promoter. I'm going to be the guy that has the
like the water boy. You were then the promoter.
Yeah. Hello, ladies, welcome.
It's an oversaturated market. The DJ Phil. I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this, but yeah, like we were throwing those parties that start off as underages, no alcohol served, whatever. They weren't too popular. And then there was this little thing, the emergence of the fake ID, which I was pretty nifty with. It's a toothpick and a bit of acetone and whatnot. So everyone kind of started flaunting their fake IDs, and we started throwing those parties hidden in the basement, and they got more and more popular. And before you know it, there's bloody 300 17-year-old kids raging in the basement. Sometimes the police would do a walkthrough. Remember, we'd turn the music real down, everyone would and then we'd get the text like, everyone quiet. Police would leave. Back on, field slam on a mashed potato thing, and then hands to the floor. So the parties were doing really well there. And then obviously there were a lot of big nightclubs at the time, After Dark, Social Club and whatnot. And it was Dom Dollar and Vedran, good friend of ours.
Yes.
That gave us our first ever guest list. Like, we want you to promote for us at After Dark.
Yeah, but before that, even just before we started promoting at After Dark and all these other club nights, I got Mike to, I was like, man, I think I really like this DJ thing. I think I might take it a bit more seriously. Can you make me like a legit fake ID so I can go and play?
Right.
So just for context, you guys at this age are 17.
No,
16.
No, we were 16 at this
Yeah.
time. Yeah. You push it. I think you were being like.
I'm trying to be a bit,
Mike, cut the shit.
Cut the shit,
Like-
Mike. Before we go any further, Mike, cut the shit. This is straight up interview. Let's just be real with Dylan. He
Okay,
knows
Dylan.
us. Okay.
I know worse things than this. Okay.
Cool. Let's get it all.
All right, 16 years old, right? And then I asked Mike for a fake ID and I started DJing at a few like Brown Alley and Fashion Keyboard and all these old club nights in Melbourne. And Mike would come and he'd kind of like party with me throughout the night. And it was through that I started DJing for this promoter, Nick Greco, and he was running a night at Tramp on Tuesdays. It was like a big uni night. Mike's fake ID that he made me ended up getting taken away from me at one club because it was just shit.
Yep.
Then I went to an old mate, Toby Hudson, and I was like, I feel like I
Wasn't
could kind
shit,
of
by the way. You fucked up.
Yeah. I choked at the front door. That's why they were like,
What's the star sign? 7.
So I asked a mate of mine, Toby, for his ID. He gave it to me and it worked brilliantly, got me into Tramp, and I told Nick that I'd start DJing for him and he thought my name was Toby for probably, a couple of years. 2 years passed, we like get to the age of 18 and Mike's promoting at the club by then and we're kind of like entering that schoolies phase and we're about to do a bunch of muck-up parties and we go to Nick. Well, first I'm like, by the way, my name's not Toby, sorry about like all
Well, actually, what happened was Nick. So we didn't just do it on our own accord. Nick's like, I fucking love working with you guys. He's now our business partner in Untitled, by the way.
for the last 7 years.
He goes, love working with you guys. We're smashing these pens down markup parties. Let's open a nightclub together. Like, let's do it in a few weeks or in a month, whatever. We're both still in year 12.
Yeah.
And we go, fuck. All right, look, Nick.
The gig's up.
Toby's name's actually Phil. And I'm not 20. I just turned 18.
Yeah.
And credit to him, he laughed and he goes, you guys get through year 12. Let's launch the club next year and we can do it all properly and whatnot. And so he did. Nick waited. And then we brought on with the launch of Treehouse, we brought on our new, our other business partners, Christian Surreal.
Yep.
And then the 5th member of Untitled, Tom Core. So for the launch anyway. But credit to Nick. When he found that out, he was like, I respect that. And we got thrust from being underage, kind of just party throwers and whatnot. We threw a few parties at the Royal Derby Hotel, which was great. But into launching Treehouse, which was a huge next step for us.
Massive step.
Yeah.
Anyone at the age, I reckon, born around that 90, 93, 94, 92, if you lived in Melbourne, if you hadn't heard of Treehouse nightclub,
there's Treehouse and Club Soda. They were like the two were bouncing back and forward, and it was just a great era of I think dance music as well. Like like Sound One More and Tonight Only, and
But then it took after Treehouse, we got our real big opportunity through the Palace Theatre, which like used to be known as the Metro, and it's like our parents used to go on nightclub.
infamous for like massive party
Brawls
spot,
and
isn't it?
stuff.
Yes, and that too.
Yeah. So they closed down for a while, and then the owners were looking for someone to come in and relaunch it as a club night. So we got a pretty lucky opportunity there, brokered a deal, moved in, we're running every single Saturday. And then that's where we kind of developed this new dance music culture that we were listening to on the radio on Triple J.
You look at the launch weeks of Anyway, we launched with Alice in Wonderland, Peking Duck, Parachute Youth, Rufus did a set,
Dom Dollar.
Features, Dom Dollar, and you look at all those artists where they are now, and it's great that we still work with all of them and good friends with a lot of them. And it's great that as we've rose, look at where their careers have gone. And, I think the greatest story is like Rufus headlined the first Beyond the Valley. They took a punt. We'll get to that in a second because we're jumping forward. But from headlining the first BTV to now headlining the last BTV and selling out instantly 25,000 tickets, like as the band grows, the festival and stuff grows with it. So it's a really good thing. But back to like launching Anyway, that was probably the next big elevation because Treehouse was doing about 1,000, 1,500 people a week, and it was still young party club culture. Anyway, was where we really need to realize we have to have systems and protocol, and we have to really look at this as a
start to like run a business.
But put this into context as well. Like you are just so confident with this, and you're telling a story like anyone could do it. you're 19, 18, 19 at this age.
Yeah.
Everyone else that does this is like 30, 40 years old and has been doing it for years.
I think that was one of our advantages, though. You know,
Yeah,
Because we knew the audience.
Yeah, we knew the
100%.
audience. We knew what kids wanted to listen to.
Find you outside most weeks. Yeah, Dylan, get you.
Yeah, I was the guy that and not because of anything, but I hated lining up.
Yeah.
So I was always just calling you two straight out the front, being like, please just let me slide through these doors.
And when Anyway was at its peak, like the lines, like the reason why it also got a lot of attention at the start was we needed like 3,000 people to fill the place. So like, let's go ham on promoting it and that. About 6,000 people rocked up to the launch night, and when everyone got told that it's full capacity, all the lines started wrapping around, started just storming the door. So the riot police actually got called down, shut off the front of the doors, and everybody spilled around the front. We got this amazing photo, like the Studio 54 club in New York, like just people spilled around the front of a theater.
It was such a mess because we're all 18 years old and we're kind of trying to celebrate it as well because we've worked so hard up until this point, engaging crew, booking Alice in Wonderland, and like the next few weeks of
Phil actually did the visuals himself. He did Justice We Are Your Friends, and he was on his thing going, we.
Your friend.
That was like the peak of production at that fucking era. So, I just remember we had no idea what to do with the situation, and the venue just took over. We were all pretty wasted and enjoying the night, and then the riot police rocked up, and we were like, I kind of felt like that kid from Project X.
Yes.
Like I fucked up. Like my parents had rocked up, and the cops were here, the riot police was here, and like shit, what do I do now? But yeah, after that week, it started to it simmered to a healthy point where we were doing 3,000 people turnover across like 10 p.m. all the way through to 5 a.m. And it was Melbourne's biggest weekly club night. It was probably Australia's biggest club night at the time, actually.
And unfortunately, just because the actual building itself was sold to developers, we had to close down. And so at our peak, we ran the last ever event at the Palace, which was a really kind of monumental time, I guess, in Australian music history. Like so many great bands played there. We had to throw the last event, but in the build up of that, what we realized is there's a really good culture of brewing around dance music. And, we were going to festivals. We were going to every festival that time. I think, with the Big Day Out, Future Music, Stereosonic.
We used to go to them every year, didn't we?
The first festival we went to was Big Day Out together.
We went to Big Day Out. I think
we saw the Ting Tings. We saw
Lupo Fiasco.
Cut Copy.
Did you guys go to the Chili Peppers and
Killers?
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't go to that.
So, and even, not that we're proud of these moments, but I think it shaped us as who we are. When we were younger, some of the concerts we used to go to and somehow illegally get into at a younger age.
It's very funny. I think perspective's everything. Like, you look at some of the stuff you used to do when you're young, bloody graffiti or whatever.
You're right.
You look at some of those things and as you grow through life and you emerge and you realize, shit, I'm sitting on the other side of that fence, literally.
Yeah. Yep.
And you realize that, you are stealing this someone's business and they have to put extra measures, extra fencing, extra security.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, considering that we went through those motions as kids, fence jumping and just rocking up at parties and trying to sneak our way in underage, I've kind of got a little bit of respect for the ones that 100%, get through. I finally get in the middle.
So don't jump beyond the valley, but if you do.
But if you do, it's a creative way.
I got to sideswipe to a story here. Pitch Festival, we love to dress up at. Phil's dressed up in his sheriff outfit, and Phil loves
it was like a what's that American kind of like
deputy,
cliche?
Yeah.
Cooper Trooper.
Phil's got a respect for them, but he'll get them. Like get them. So these guys are running through the field, fence jump the festival, and Phil sees him. He's like, "Oh, we're on!" Sprinting after the kid, and the kid's running through the crowd. And Phil gets him, tackles him to the ground, and then gets him, grabs his hand, and I'm like, "Oh my god, Phil! Like, look what you're wearing!" And he realizes he's in the cop outfit. So he gets the fake handcuffs and cuffs the guy. The guy's squirming and Phil's grabbing and Phil's like,
hand him over to security. I was like, mate, you're meant to have a ticket. Yeah. And he was like, he literally looked at me and was like, what are you meant to be, a fucking police officer? Yeah. I thought you were a punter here. You're dressed up. Like
some people don't. We'll get into that later again about being dressed up and people not taking you seriously at your festival. Like, mate, this is my event.
Yeah, definitely. Well, who the hell is going to think that these young kids are hosting these events?
Pitch is the funniest though, because we can, everyone, there's dress up culture there. It's like, oh, we'll let a bit loose and dress up. Phil and I had this great idea one year. We're like, all right, this year, stormtroopers. You and me, we dress up as stormtroopers and we're going to fucking get into the crowd. Oh my God. Phil comes back to my van and he's like, Mike, stormtroopers. Okay, great. all our friends are dressing us. It took us 45 minutes because it's all the armor, all the shield.
There was like an
full
underlayer
suit,
of
like-
latex as it go on.
Dude, the whole thing. By the end of it, Phil goes, "All right, come on, go." Chucks the helmet on.
Chuck the helmet on, and
Phil.
we're both. We get to that moment, and it's like everything. We're finally 40 minutes in. Everything's on. The helmets come on. You can't see shit, and we're like, "All right, let's go." Opposite directions, and we had no idea.
Phil goes to one
each
stage,
of us,
I go to the other stage.
each of us thought that the other person was right behind them. So I'm like, I just start marching towards stage 1. He's marching towards stage 3, and we both think that each other are behind us, and it's just like.
So next minute, we're both at a stage, popping our helmet off, going, "Anyone seen another stormtrooper here? Anyone seen another stormtrooper here?" And
Two Lone Rangers and stages.
Everyone's like, "Fuck no, like Jesus." So I'm walking back to the campsite. I'm like, "All right, I at least got to do like." I at least got to make some use out of this stormtrooper thing. We'll supply this to your post show as well.
Yeah.
There's a police car. Then I'm like, all right, I'll just pop a squat, get a thing. So I jump onto the police car to get a photo. But the armor's so heavy that it goes like, doosh. And the cops come out and like, oi. And I'm like, oh. So before you know it, now I'm a stormtrooper. I'm dressed as a stormtrooper at my own festival.
You own the festival.
Running from the fucking police. I'm like, oh my God. Had to quickly like duck a corner and
He could back to the caravan. I'm sitting there just defeated and sweaty
from the
and he
suit.
gets there and he sprints there and he pulls up and he's like looking around. He's like, fuck. Like obviously someone's chasing him. And I'm like, dude, what the hell happened? And he's like, I don't know, but I just got chased by police.
So yeah, there's some of those moments, some of those like, all right,
I'm sure there's plenty of those moments, and knowing you two, they won't be stopping either. Let's go back though. Talk me through that moment where you're going from being the biggest club promoters in Melbourne to going, all right, fuck, how do we actually going to start a festival called Beyond the Valley?
So through Anyway, we developed great relationships with a lot of the emerging talent agencies in Australia and personal relationships with a lot of the artists like Golden Features, Rufus, Dom Dollar, and we saw a bit of a gap in the market because Mike and I had both attended Falls Festival before, and it was like you had Falls Festival and Let Them Eat Cake. Both
it's a different
market.
niche.
It's a different niche, and we had cultivated this new era of dance music culture, which was very entrenched in Triple J, and we kind of thought, what if we combine something which was live music, hip hop? We brought on that dance music element, that local dance music culture that we had brought up through Anyway, and then introduce a bit of European house and techno music, which was kind of starting to position itself in Melbourne as a bit of an underground.
So who are we talking about there? What sort of?
So like the first year was Claptone, Pleasure Crafts, Thomas Jack, Kant and stuff. And now a more modern era, we've been booking the likes of Peggy Goo, Honey Dijon, Dennis Salter, Solomon. So back then it was kind of this mixed match, and I think to a lot of people it didn't make sense. And then you see an artist like Kate Trinata on there, who's an extremely talented hip hop producer and electronic producer, and it worked in the end. Rufus de Sol headlined the festival, and it was an educational process putting on the first Beyond the Valley, because
you've seen the Firefest documentary.
So give context to what this documentary is for someone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
What's Firefest?
Firefest was a famous festival in the Caribbean where everybody arrived. The festival organizer had no idea what they're doing, so they arrived.
One of the festival organizers
now
was
in
Ja
jail.
Rule. So
Yeah.
I think,
And the other,
I think it was all right.
And the other
when you think
organizers
about it.
now in jail because
Five Festival.
because they had nothing on it, and the organizers were like putting their hands in there, like, "Well, sorry, no. And everyone's stuck in the Bahamas. Like that gave us anxiety, like PTSD of Beyond the Valley year one.
Year one. So you're saying Beyond the Valley year one was not like that, but there was.
But just
you were underprepared.
Behind the scenes, it was like
yeah.
that. But somehow it
got
was
by.
seamless to most punters.
Yeah.
The reason why we moved from that site was you think in theory when you go to a site visit, now like we're a lot more experienced in that field, but you go to a site and it was kind of on a cliff face, and we just like, fuck, beautiful ocean, it's this nice cliff face area, it's all flat, beautiful green grass. And when it comes to game day, there are people chasing their tents down fucking laneways because it's so windy.
Yeah.
And then we've got someone from the EPA standing there and the council with a wind monitor reader saying, like, once you hit gusts of 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, your main stage has to come down. And we were just like, that was the first scar of several that happened across the whole weekend that we walked away being like, do we even want to do camping festivals anymore? But we'd worked so hard to get it done, and there was a lot of contractors that were kind of taking us for a ride and effectively taking kickbacks financially.
We were young. We were young kids.
How old are you? How old are you at this stage?
We were 20 when
20 years old.
Yeah.
And put that into context. You're 20 years old. There's been a festival dominating for years called Falls Festival, and you are rivaling that now. At 20 years of age, you start a festival to go head to head against. Not against, you're not competing. It's a different festival, but it's fucked. It's actually ridiculous.
That's the great thing about, like, I guess the music industry as a whole is you want to kind of like, everyone wants to kind of carve out their own niche and see the whole industry grow as a whole. And what we thought was, we provide a more dance focused electronic alternative to, Falls Festival, which still has now some of the biggest bands and artists playing in the world. But at that point, we carved out our niche and we're like, let's go for it. And I guess when I spoke of the whole thing about the Fire Festival thing, I mean, that was just referencing the chaos of learning along the way. Like you can't anticipate all these things and the extra fencing and the extra this and the security and the measures. And that first year was such a big learning curve. But I think the main thing that was the huge learning curve was coming out of that at age 20 and, we suffered a big financial loss. Like at that age, and our company, we lost $1 million in our first year.
20 years of age, and you lost $1 million on your first festival.
We didn't have the money, so we're 20 years of age. Like
I'm laughing, but that's fucked.
Yeah, no, it is. At the time,
when we say we didn't have the money, we weren't backed by anybody. We didn't have a bank. We didn't have an external investor. It was all of the money that we'd saved in the club, and then credit to like particularly my family, Phil's family, all our families and sisters and.
Even with that, like our families weren't necessarily like super wealthy, so they like chipped in a little bit to help kind of like lessen the blow, but there was nothing that could completely get us by. So we kind of had to pick up the phone and call the suppliers, call talent, talent reps and everything, and say, look, we're going to roll the dice again on year 2. We are so confident that this festival is going to be an institution. It's going to be, have a cult following, and we're going to sell out. Just for context, the first year of Beyond the Valley, we sold 7,000 tickets.
What's capacity?
It's
about how big you can build it, because with more people, you take on more infrastructure, more risk.
On that side, at the Phillip Island side, it was roughly 15,000. And then after all the weather issues, we moved the following year to Larder Park. Mm-hmm. So year 2 of the festival, and we were behind the scenes booking the lineup, and we'd confirmed kind of like the three artists that we wanted most. There was one that we missed out on, which was Disclosure, but they were Jamie XX, Skepta, and Flight Facilities. And that's when we were like, okay, we got this. Like, this is 100%. Is
that the penny drop?
But still, it's a tough thing when you're sitting there. You've just lost $1 million. You're like, but the festival is great. Everyone loved it. The reviews online are great. But to go again, you need to double down. You could lose another $1 million, and then we'd be bankrupt. Oh, we'd be living in Mexico.
But that's what I love, man. I love, and I'm not surprised by this because I've known you guys for years, and we've done these things together, and I know how you work. But I think that's why before I said I admired what you guys have done, and in a way, it's inspired me, because so many people are like what if people, and they might examine every single situation, and they go, oh, but I've got to do this, I've got to do that, but I just love people who just go, fuck this, I'm going to do it and just see what happens. And that's honestly what you did. 20 years of age, you start this festival, it was a success. You've made 15 million mistakes probably at that first one.
Yeah.
You've lost $1 million, but then you double down and go, fuck it, let's do it again. Learn from everything that we've made a mistake from and benefit from it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. And every year is a constant learning curve, and we felt like we've like...
You're 20.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're 20. I think that
I was still living with my mum when I was 20 years old.
So was I.
Yeah.
that was the worst part. Like being like, I only just moved out the second year of Beyond the Valley. So the first year after that, and they go, so how was the wrap up to the festival?
You're just eating breakfast at mum and dad.
Looking mum in the eye, but yeah, great. Yeah. Oh, we're sweet for year 2, mum. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing, is we needed money to bankroll the second year, and we didn't have any funding or anything. We just got a lot of artists. There were a lot of the locals just had our back, and then we like ran the club for another year to just kind of like find the funds to be able to bankroll the event. Then we announced, and before, trust me, we had a lot of those what if moments. Yeah. We were just like, what if this happened? What if that happens? But when you're 20 years old, there's a sentiment of just being naive.
Yeah,
it's the best. And not it plays being foolish kind of played a role in the commercial success of the festival moving forward. So we rolled the dice. We went again, and I think it was securing those 3 artists. The main one, it was Flight Facilities right after they released Down to Earth, and Jamie XX after he released In Color, which is to date one of the most popular records of all time.
One of your favorite records.
Yeah, probably one of my
Skepta
favorite.
is probably one of my favorite artists of all time.
Who's also one of probably the best artists we've hosted, like in terms of just willing to just hang out. Like we played Jenga
with
Nintendo
him.
and ages. He's just happy to hang out, man.
Yeah.
I just have so many fucking questions like this. How do you even, what's the first step of actually booking a talent? Like how do you even go about that? And how do they actually take you seriously when you're 20? Was there people like there's this question is multi-pronged and take it wherever you want it. You're 20 years old. How do people take you seriously? How do you actually go and email someone and say, hey, we want you at our festival? What are the discussions like? How does it work?
A lot of credit to our business partner, Nick Greco. A lot of that's one of his biggest responsibilities is booking the talent. And we worked collectively at that stage and kind of booking separate artists and stuff, but he built it all together. And to date, he pretty much manages the whole process, except Mike steps in for some personal relationships like with Rufus to Soul and stuff like that. But that year, I just remember we secured all 3. We decided to roll the dice. We went on sale. And on the first day of year 1, we sold 400 tickets. The first day of year 2, we sold 5,000. And that moment in the room, like we were all in the office and we were like, okay, we're going to do this as a career. Like this is going to be us for the rest of our lives or however long we can do it for.
We'd always crave this feeling. Like it was funny, like our business goal, we'd see Falls Festival go up and sell out instantly. You know what it was like? You'd have to go into a ballot and sell out instantly and people would be fighting for tickets and whatnot. We always crave this feeling of just selling out, the instant sellout, knowing that the security's there, our job's done, yep, we've done a good job. And year 2 was good that we kind of had that spike, but it was just the final, the last iteration of Beyond the Valley 2019 that we did was we sold out in minutes, 25,000 tickets. And that feeling of like just seeing all the traffic go online, all the tickets pulling, and you're like, is this actually happening? Like we finally achieved that. So that was
6 years of work to get it to that point where it would sell out instantly.
And I think a big thing that was the result of that was not just, Beyond the Valley over the years, we've really found its feet as to what it is. And it's much more than just booking the right artists. It's building the right festival, having the right art installations, the stage designs, the food, everything that we kind of build together. We've really built a culture around it. And my favorite thing is seeing kids one year that like will come up to me like, oh mate, and they got 6 years of wristbands on, and I'm like, wow, you should shower.
That's massive, man. That must be hard.
Because it's great to see that kids have grown up going to these festivals now, and it's that next step wave of culture and whatnot. And you see, there's so many great new festivals popping up. Like look what everything that we referenced, Future Music, Stereosonic, Big Day Out, they all came and went because there was a big shift away from large scale festivals, waiting in line, paying $15 for a shitty drink or whatnot. Now there's a lot more of a shift towards quality events, and there's so many great events that fill this landscape right now. And we're happy to be part of that.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely dominating it, which we'll definitely go into a bit more. But talk us through some of the artists that you've worked with and the biggest ones that you've sort of had throughout the time. There's been obviously multiple. Who are some of your favourites? Who are some of the biggest ones you've dealt with?
On a personal level, I would say Rufus and Dom Dollar, just because we're such close friends with them, and they're just like such great stand-up guys and just amazing musicians as well. Like they're masters of their craft, and they put so much dedication into their work. But outside of that, there's been like a few along the way that we, it's very surreal working with or hanging out with the artists that we kind of, 7-8 years ago, we would like kind of aspire to book, and we would watch a lot of their live performances on YouTube or their Boiler Room videos and whatnot. And I think through like starting festival properties like Pitch and Grapevine and then, one of the biggest reasons that we didn't mention before that Beyond the Valley works as a festival and as a big lineup now so seamlessly is no artist is going to come to Australia for just one show because we're so far away. Yep. If you're an American hip hop artist or a European DJ, you're going to want to come here for 4 to 5 shows and then get out for it to be, commercially viable. So think 2 years ago, I always skip 2020 because it's like a year that didn't exist in our market.
I don't remember it.
Yeah. We launched Wildlands Festival, which was something that Mike completely project managed himself. Having that like extra leg to bolster the tour is what, got us Tyler, the creator, and Rufus to Soul to headline the festival. And I think
Wildlands is a single day event up in Brisbane, by the way. So
after New Year's?
So it's just before Beyond the Valley. So basically when the artists come to town, so for example, Tyler, the creator, when he's coming to the country, he's like, well, I'm not just going to do Beyond the Valley. I want to do all these other things.
Yep.
So he'll start at Wildlands, play to 30,000 people there, come to Beyond the Valley, play for us, go to Lost Paradise in Sydney, fly over to Perth, then come back for Field Day, then add on New Zealand. So we work in with a lot of our sister festivals.
Awesome.
And as we've grown, we've started to realize that, if there's not the right property in a segment around the country, we'll expand and create that ourselves. So we got our eyes on a few more spots around Australia and popping up some few events end of the year.
Unbelievable.
But going back to like the Surreal, like the artists, and you touched on like Surreal artists that you've grown up with. I think we went to our first ever live music concert together. Yeah. All of us.
Yeah, I was there as well.
Yeah, we all went to the presets. And for me, man, like even, like at that time they were big, but even as my life's gone on, they've gotten bigger. Like people say music, so hearing and scent are the two fondest, the two strongest forms of memory. So like, when you listen to something and it just brings back an instantaneous memory of something that you did. And like, that's for the presets for me. It brings back that time when we were like 15 years old, going to these concerts, drinking pulses, having, nearly having cardiac arrest, like jumping, sweating to the presets. And fuck,
I distinctly remember black leather chucks, white oversized tee, bad straightened hair.
I think it looks good.
Yeah. And this is great because we all get very involved. We're all very passionate about our brands and the lineups, and we get really involved in like who we book as our headliners. And the presets came up, and Phil and I, 100%, and we were a bit worried that our audience at the time was a bit, the audience was 18 to 21 year olds, and the presets weren't actually on cycle at that point. And like, no, we're going to put a New Year's Eve countdown. It's going to be great. It's going to be best. I think it's one of our favorite countdowns.
It was one of our favorites.
And it was so surreal. They bring in the New Year's. I'm standing there next to my brother, taking my radio off. I'm not working anymore. I'm like, I got to go tell them how fucking amazing that was. And the theme that year was pink for New Year's. Like, So me and my brother, we just walk up the hill and run to their dressing room. I grab a bottle of champagne, I smash down the door, and I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm Mike. I'm the owner of the festival. Just want to say."
Bear in mind, by this point, he's lost his radio. He's lost his accreditation.
Lanyard, radio, all off.
All gone. He doesn't even know where they are.
Yeah. Me and my brother go in there, pop a bottle of champagne, toast, to Happy New Year. Everything's great, and I'm like, I just want to say it's so surreal that you were the first concert I ever have, and it's an honor to have you bring in the New Year. That was the best New Year's ever. Thanks, mate. And then everything is kind of getting a bit weird. And I'm like, why are all the extra people in the room being a bit standoffish? I'm like, anyway, guys, you have a good night. I'm going to leave. Walk out the door with my brother. And I look at my brother, and he's in a pink cowboy hat, pink fluffy glasses, a 90 and whatnot, and like glitter on his chest. And I look at myself. I'm a dressing mess. I'm like, fuck, we just kicked that door in. Covered in pink. Like, hey, mate, I own the festival. I want to pop some bottle. Oh, God. I actually saw them at one of our, because we've booked them since. I saw them at one of our other events. And of course, I was just very formal. Like, hey, Michael, we met that other year. Yeah. Probably don't remember.
What other artists have been some of the best to deal with, get along with and enjoy? Have a fun time.
Dennis Salter is definitely the funnest artist that we've had.
And we love having him here because he stays here for like a few weeks and just laps up the country. Monty, one of our employees, took him to Hillsville Sanctuary, and he just spent like full 9 hours there. He's like, oh my God, I got all the fluffy animals and stuff. He's just a joy of life. Like those people that you meet that are genuinely like, hey, I've come from the other side of the world, from my hometown, to play my fans of music, and you're making that happen. So I'm so appreciative for that. And they just lap up everything. And they're the people that we want to bring back, and they really connect with our audiences. And it's so great when you see fans come up to them and they want photos after the show. And there's people that are really open to that, because some artists get worn out and some artists don't want to always do, meet the promoter or meet their fans or do press and whatnot, because it's a tough life, touring around all the time,
Yeah. It's like there's the artists that we've had such a huge pleasure of hanging out with and have had such a good time with, and those that, even though our interactions have been very brief and, you know, not much has been said, it's been such a surreal moment just being in the same room as them, having a one to
And who were some of those people you'd say?
I mean, like Chance the Rapper, Stormzy,
Jamie
XX. It was he's kind of like a music, because I'm also a musician as well, and he was like, he's probably got to be one of my like greatest creative idols of all time. And meeting him, it was, you know, he was very to himself and very, you know,
conservative or like,
very conservative, yeah, which I think is like a common trait in, you know, really talented musicians. And just that, like he just said, yeah, thanks for having me at your festival. It's like, it looks like a cool party, man. Thank you. And just that short like encounter for us is something which is quite surreal. The Kooks.
I was going to say, I got one for you, Dill. Like, we've got the top 10, like the top 10 list I have to tick off one day. Like, we've got to book the Chili Peppers or something.
Oh, 100%.
But the Kooks was on that list, and like, being able to tick them off was a surreal moment.
That's unreal.
And meeting the Kooks, and Phil got them to sign the
Yeah.
Seaside, did they play Seaside?
Yeah.
That makes me cry, that song.
Naive.
Want to go to the seaside?
Yeah. No, keep going.
No. That is a great
But when Mike,
yeah.
my mic was like,
Me?
yeah, you. When you were on the dance floor, I just remember I knew what time they were arriving and everything, and I went grabbed this record vinyl that I had bought for him of their greatest hits, and then I took it to them, and I was like, my business partner, who like one of the promoters for this festival, he's obsessed with you guys, and he's the main reason that we booked you. I would love it if you could sign the record. And they were like, mate, we'd fucking love to. Like, when can we meet this guy? Yeah. I'm like, he's on the dance floor right now. I will have no chance locating him because his radio is off. But you might bump into him.
I'm surprised, Mike, the one band that maybe the number one you listen, you just can't nail them yet, is Panic at the Disco.
Panic at the Disco.
Mike, I've never seen someone listen to 9 in the afternoon or whatever that song.
Hold on, wait.
Back to the streets.
Are you watching me on Spotify? Are you seeing?
I love that song. Panic at the Disco.
I'm just wondering how you've stayed up to date, Dill. No one knows about my Panic at the Disco obsession, but that album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, I know word for word, and I listen to it probably once a month.
It's a great album.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. Yeah.
Who's on the top 10 list? And who have you ticked off?
I don't know if we can get our secrets. Okay, but,
the Wombats, we've ticked them off. Tyler the Creator was on that list.
Yeah.
For me, that was probably the biggest one that we had ticked off.
Rufus de Soul, we got to tick those off. Yeah, probably like nostalgic bands. Like, I mean, like, obviously our favorite band in the world. I'm saying this still, but you know, the Killers.
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
but how many? We went to I definitely went to one with you guys with the Killers. I've probably seen them twice live.
We saw them when we were in Vegas like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like the night of the day before my birthday. We were in Las Vegas, and we still hadn't organized anything to do. And I was like, I'm in Vegas, and it's my birthday tomorrow, and I haven't organized shit. And I'm just kind of like scrolling through StubHub on my phone, and then I see the Killers live, and this is a band that I didn't even know was playing live anymore. One of my favorite bands of all time, T-Mobile Arena, like arena launch night. Yeah. And we went there, and it was just us two, and it was so fucking good.
Unbelievable, man. Yeah. They are so good live. The one song that I would want to see them play, and I have seen them play live, but I'd love to see it again, is the Sam's Town Abbey Road version.
Yeah.
Like that. If you haven't heard that song, please listen to that. That's a special song. You know, that really reminds me of Massa, who's one of our mates that passed away way too soon. And whenever I listen to that song, I've got a video of us singing that in the car together, like a week before he passed away, which is really special.
I went and visited his folks a few weeks back, and I used to burn his CDs for that car, the Love Bug CDs.
Yeah.
And we just put them, like, what is this CD? I put it in, I'm like, what did I put on this? And just the first song.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's Sam's Town. So
it was in his car, so fucking would have been that CD.
Yeah.
Crazy. Funny dealings with artists. Like, obviously they're probably some crazy people out there that, you know, they're good for a reason, but they're probably quite strange. Have you had any really funny dealings with specific ones, or have they made any like really crazy requests that they need?
Yeah, it's always
festival.
Always on in quite a professional format as well. That artist rider. So we get handed a technical and a hospitality rider from every single artist, and it's like all the tech requirements in terms of the backline and gear that they're bringing on stage, what lighting requirements they have, what they expect the sound system, you know, to be at in terms of a decibel limit, stage size as well, and capabilities. And then the hospo rider is always ridiculous. Like there was one artist, I think it was Dylan Francis, asked for a human life size cardboard cutout of Steven Seagal to be in his dressing room upon arrival. Then there was a couple of artists who can't be named, but always just like weed gets asked for all the time.
Weeds as in the stuff that you find in your garden.
Yeah.
Weeds.
That's
Weird,
what
man.
they say.
Why would they want that?
Yeah, they say like local herbiculture grass.
The way that they word it is always heard. Like,
Yeah.
there's been artists that won't get on stage unless some of that stuff is delivered. Like there was an artist that we booked 4 years ago in the dance tent at Beyond the Valley, and he wanted a specific type of tequila. And we were like, it's funny going through the hospo riders, like Nick, our partner, always is just like crosses shit off like that it's nobody's business. Like, nah, too expensive. Nah. Crossing all this ridiculous stuff off. No, we're going to get you 5 plain white t-shirts and 5 black plain t-shirts and like
Why do you
2
need
towels.
5?
Why do you need
Yeah.
5? Do you need 1?
Yeah.
Like, and no, you can't have a deck of Uno cards. Like, it just like crosses off all this shit, just gives them the stuff that they actually need. And there was like this specific bottle of tequila that this artist needed. He crossed it off, and then he said to Katie, our artist services manager, who handles all the hospo requests, get the cheap shit. So she brought the cheap shit.
I wouldn't say cheap shit. He said, just get him a nice.
Get him.
Just- it doesn't-
Okay, compared to the bottle that he actually wanted, it was like $600.
Yeah.
So, we gave it to him. He said, I'm not getting on stage until my actual tequila is delivered. We tried to negotiate with him. He was like, nah, he must have just really liked the tequila.
Yeah.
So Katie, we ended up having to spend even more money because we got him like this $150 dollar bottle of tequila. Then Katie had to go back into like town in Warragul
on New Year's Eve.
Find this bottle of $500 tequila, bring it back to site right as he was about to get on stage. He's just standing there behind the actual console itself, and then she hands it to him and he's like, okay, thank you, and he just walks up and he plays.
Unbelievable. I heard a little analogy about this a while ago. The reason I ask is because so there was a band back in the day called Van Halen. Okay.
Yeah.
Massive band. Okay. Our parents would have probably loved it.
Yeah,
And
I know Van Halen.
they were saying they were the biggest band ever. They had these massive crowds, and they were so particular on the way that they wanted their music to happen and the experience to be what they wanted, that they were like, if we go to these festivals and it's all about the little things, it's all about the littlest, finalist details. They were like, in one of their scripts, they were saying, we want to have a bowl of M&Ms, but in the M&Ms, there can be no brown M&Ms.
I've heard this.
So it's just the things.
Yeah.
And they were saying in the contract, it actually says, if there's no M&Ms there, we get fully paid for the concert and we don't do it. And the reason they did it though, it wasn't the fact that they wanted it. It was more the fact, I think, that they said,
Show the artist cares.
show the artist cares, and also
the promoter cares.
The promoter cares, and show the fact that these people that are bringing us out are like doing the right thing or something. And I was like, fuck, that's actually pretty scary. Like, imagine if you didn't read that and they just left
Imagine one yellow
one brown one. Yeah.
Or just fuck with them, have the brown on top. And they're like, oh, that's really good, guys. And they move, it's all rainbow. Like, rage, smash guitars.
Best show seen live at your own festivals. What's you said before the presets were one, Jamie XX.
I've got this weird, not weird, but like it's more of like a niche band that we've had, but a band called Kiosmos at Pitch. Actually, you might know Kiosmos. I see you're listening to them.
Yeah.
They're really beautiful ambient electronic kind of soundscapes, and 2 Icelandic dudes. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
So one of the guys in the group is called Olaf Arnold, who's a really amazing pianist that a lot of people might have heard. But Kiosmos, could not recommend them.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think there's like Solumon at the Wool Store. I would say is one of the. Actually, we'll get into a bit of a story.
Please
about
get into that
after,
one.
But, after Solomon, I would say Fatima Yamaha at Pitch Year 1, Dennis Salter at Pitch, and too many DJs at Beyond the Valley, who are the 2 artists from Soul Wax, which is an artist that Mike and I have always wanted to book, but it just
Soul
hasn't
Wax
quite worked
Soul
out.
Wax are on the top 10 as well. If you don't know Soul Wax, get on.
Okay.
Soul Wax are incredible. They kind of hit their peak in 2008 around that whole kind of
I definitely have
headbanger,
seen
Daft
Soul
Punk.
Wax before. Yeah, for sure.
They were kind of really popular around that whole Daft Punk cut copy presets.
How are you feeling about the Daft Punk news lately? I know you'd
Depressed.
be
Yeah.
yeah. For those who don't know, Daft Punk, they've broken up.
Disbanded.
Just finished.
Disbanded. I still have hope that it's
That
sort
was
of
our
like a
childhood.
publicity-
Was
it was.
Daft Punk. Yeah, seriously.
One of my favorites.
Sorry, go on.
Artist that actually hasn't got a shout out so far, but they're just great value in terms of everybody fucking loves them, and we've worked with them. They've probably played like 4 Beyond the Valley so far. Jungle Giants.
Yes.
They are
And best blokes as well, weren't you saying?
Yeah. Well, that year at Beyond the Valley, everybody had a Jungle Giant story. Everyone was like, "Oh, I ran into Jungle Giant," and I hadn't met them at that stage because it was the second Beyond the Valley, and we're New Year's Day, sun's rising, and everyone's just having a few beers and whatnot. And everyone's talking about how good blokes the Jungle Giants are. I go, how did you guys all meet the Jungle Giants? And literally as if like it was just meant to be, this tent zips open, 10 bottles of wine. This guy just strolls over and goes, "Hey guys, I stole these from the artist area. Happy New Year." And he doesn't know I'm the owner of the festival, you know? And that's my shout out to Sam. This is the lead singer of the Jungle Giants. He's an absolute legend. We're good friends now. And yeah, because I went over to him and was like, "Hey mate, I'm Mike. I'm the Frodo."
That's actually my wine.
That's my wine.
I actually paid for
But
that.
I love the fact that you didn't know. You just thought that we were just kids up on the hill. Like you were just giving the wine away. So everybody's got a Jungle Giant story, and credit to them as well. Look at how well they're doing. They're smashing it.
Unbelievable. And having these relationships with these guys and girls, these artists, is just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to form a personal relationship with them, especially like one of my biggest roles for the festival is creative. So working with the stage architects, stage designers, lighting operators, and just like the overall creative experience of coming into a festival holistically, and working with Rufus 2 years ago before Beyond the Valley 2019 when they did the countdown. Mike and I were piggybacked their US tour with them because an artist that Mike manages and that our booking agency represents, Larslings, was their main support across the tour. So we joined them as kind of like half tour manager, but half really just vacation.
Yeah.
You familiar with Larslings?
I am. I've heard some through you and your promotion. I've definitely given it a lot of listen. They've debuted their single or album.
We actually just had 5 sold out album shows at 170 Russell. So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, we'll definitely give a link to the Larslings album in the show notes to check that out because I have heard them. It's a brother sister duo.
Brother sister duo from the Gold Coast. Josh just moved in actually after 6 years of living with Phil. Fun fact, for those that don't know, that Phil and I also.
I don't know how you two from 15 you guys have like been in each other's pockets. Like it's been that close.
Well, it's finally fucked.
Yeah.
We're
So
gonna kill each other.
Phil's just moved out for the and Josh from Larslings has moved down to Melbourne, so he's moved in with me. So
I'm sorry. I feel sorry for him.
Strap in, Josh.
Yeah. Oh God, I feel sorry for Josh.
But to finish that story off, we were in America with Rufus, and that's when I was getting a lot of the renders and the CADs forward from the stage designer for Beyond the Valley's main stage in 2019, which was this massive, like 60 meter wide stainless steel, almost kind of like pyramid that we had built. And
It was my favorite stage. It was
we'll
get a photo of that.
Yeah.
To show.
Like does it appear now on the?
It's on YouTube. It's just like right here.
Right. Okay.
Whoa.
Cool.
Fuck.
Here's the stage. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Jesus,
It's big.
Look at those poles.
Yeah. There's no
Wow.
pulse.
There's no fault.
Okay.
What do you call it? That's just Phil's erection.
Rufus played a role in helping us select what design to go for because we'd been sent like 4 to 5 different renditions, and we were sitting there with John from Rufus and going through. He was like, "That one, like it's not kind of immersive enough," and then like him and I were bouncing back and forth on the final result, and we sent back to the designer. We're like, "We don't really like any of these," and then we were out for dinner one night in Aspen, and this design came through while I was at dinner via email, and John had like a couple of drinks, and then it was on my phone, and he came around and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is the one." And he came up right behind me and he looked at it and he tapped me on my shoulder and he's like, "That's the one."
Yeah. Because I remember actually they were pretty critical on the one before that. They were like,
The one before that,
They're
they
like-
just
they're
didn't
like-
like it all.
So they've got their niche, don't they? They've got their style. Like I remember in COVID when we weren't allowed out of the house, they released, I don't know if they've released it then, but they released this thing on YouTube.
Joshua Tree.
It was Joshua Tree on YouTube. Check that out. It is like, honestly, you could have 2 beers and start crying watching that. It's so beautiful. It is like so beautiful.
And it's great when the artists that really do the best are the artists that own their craft and are just so committed to it. And, you know, everyone that we've mentioned, you know, Rufus, Dom Dollar, Jungle Knows, all those people, they're really, really passionate about just creating the best art that they can and sharing that with people. And,
So good.
But I think we touched on this earlier, but just like circling, but there's so many stories we're going around in circles.
No.
So
Solomon,
one of the other best performances we've seen times 3 was Solomon, who we.
So give us reference to Solomon for people that like. Most people would know who Solomon is, but I don't know where he's from. He's
French. He's from.
He lives
in Germany.
Germany,
but he's originally Serbian, and he's one of the, if not the, between him, Maceo Plex, and a couple of others, like the most popular artists in underground electronic music.
He does some of the most amazing shows. He's done them in like the Colosseum and like everywhere.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
I know my shit, man.
Yeah, you know your shit. You know your boiler rooms. So we'd been trying to tour Solomon for like 3 to 4 years. It was a competition between us and several other local domestic touring agents here based in Australia. And we finally won the tour. So we got it done. He came over to Australia for 2 shows. We paid for 3 shows. So it was
Friday, Sydney.
Saturday
Sydney.
at
the Wool Store.
Yeah, Saturday at the Wool Store, which was.
And where's that?
It's in West Footscray.
That big wood shit. Yeah, that big factory, isn't it?
It's an old wool store that was built in the 1940s. It's heritage listed. It's 4 stories high, but inside is it going to appear again?
Yeah.
Fuck me, look at that building.
That's a big wool store.
But it's inside all hollow, like all one giant.
Yeah, so it was initially 3 stories, and somewhere along the line, the architect had decided to just remove all through floors.
Shell.
So a 12-meter high ceiling with it's almost like they accidentally had developed this building which was
underground rave.
Because like the rigging on the ceiling, the beams on the ceiling, like the weight capacity on them could hold like tons of lighting and audio infrastructure. So we walked into
mind you, even though we're saying it's built for a rave, we saw that building, we fell in love with it, and we had to get it fit for purpose to have 5,000 people in there. So we had to replace all the glass, do the roller doors, for new fire systems, get rid of this and the paving outside. And so it was a really, really expensive exercise, and one that we looked at and we go, we're not going to make any money off this party, but it's going to be the best party that Melbourne's.
You know what? We broke even on it, which is a good result for a venue like that.
Yeah.
And with an artist as expensive as Solomon. So yeah, he played at the Wool Store, and that was our first show there. We ended up going to do 3 more after that, and it's something that will, keep your ears to the ground. It's definitely something which will reappear somewhere down the line.
Watch this space.
Solomon, he performed at the Wool Store for 2 hours, and he wanted to keep going. He's got a track record of like he's kind of like he gets referenced at least by Australians as like the kick on DJ,
the marathon DJ guy.
The marathon DJ plays like 5, 6, 7 hours in like Mexico and Amsterdam and Berlin. And
so just to lay out the proceedings, so it's really clear.
Please
for everyone. 8 to 10 p.m. headline set, the Wool Store. Mind you, they sent just a quick.
We did a little. It was we advertised 8 to 10 p.m. but we got EPA and council approval to go till 10:30. So we surprised the crowd with an extra little 30 minutes.
Quick fun facts of that night. I went and picked up Solomon because the guy's like, you can be his liaison for the evening, and I picked him up from the airport and I stupidly put him in the front seat of the car and I sat in the back, so I didn't have any control of the radio, and I'd had Fox FM blaring. And so no one changed the radio. So we were driving on the way to the venue, Taylor Swift's blaring. I'm in the car with Solomon, and as we're looking at the window, it's like, he wears short skirts, I wear a t-shirt. And I'm like, oh my God, everyone just looking out the window. I'm like, this is off to a terrible start. He was just serious, didn't chat to us or anything.
Do you want to talk about your introduction to him?
Also the guys.
So it was mainly, so this show, it was like we each kind of have that project manage our own shows, and this was one that Mike and I, because we were so in love with the building and the artists, we were like, we'll commandeer this one.
Yep.
So come game day, I was like, you go pick him up from the airport and go with the transfer. I'll stay here and I'll man the gates and just make sure that everything's going to plan. And I'm like, I don't know where the fuck the idea came
was
from.
Veteran? Was it Veteran?
I think, Veteran. Our housemate at the time.
Veteran, because he loves Solomon, which will come in later in the story. Solomon, Serbian.
Veg is Serbian?
Yeah, and Veg was like, you should greet him in Serbian. Like, you're Macedonian.
Oh, God.
And
this is already bad. This is. Don't get tricky.
Make him feel like he's at home.
So imagine veterans coaching me now. It's like "Kako si dobro, si kako si dobro," and he gets the phrase. Jet lands in Melbourne, mind you, private jet as in an airport. I'm waiting by the car. He gets off the jet, typical rolling his suitcase out, and I go over and I like shake his hand. I'm like, "Kako si dobro, si over here," and he like smiles and like pats me on the back, and then starts talking German to his tour manager. I go, "Of course you talk German. You've been living there for the last 15 years. you were born in Serbia. Doesn't mean you talk Serbian, but like it's such a patronising pat on the back.
It's like, well done.
To then opening the door for him, he gets to the front.
And Taylor Swift.
So I'm in the back and I'm like, I'm failing terribly at this. Literally. So that luckily he plays the most amazing show ever. Comes off such a high. Like literally he comes off and he goes, that was amazing. Let's go to the club. Like let's just go straight to the club. So 8 to 10:30, 2.5 hours there. Club, he's meant to go from 12 to 5, XC54, the old XC54. He wouldn't get off.
So we literally to make sure that we were legally protected. Well, not legally protected. We had to close the doors
to the bar.
And just to close the bar, close the doors. So technically we could keep playing music, but we couldn't serve alcohol anymore.
Yeah.
So
it was like a lock-in essentially.
Yeah, it was like a lock-in, and then anyone that left, you just open the door and you close it behind you. But no one was leaving until he was getting off. It got to like 5:30 p.m.
It got to 6 a.m.
Yeah, no, it got to 6, but at 5:30 we kind of gave him a tap warning, and he looked at us and he's like, I know the time.
He kept doing this thing where he'd allow everyone to clap and he'd do this thing like, and then everyone would clap, and he'd go to work. And the security and everyone's looking at me like, Mike. So I had to drag him off, and some of it, actually it was Sheridan.
So yeah, this is where the story gets really interesting. So I go home somewhere between 5 and 6. I'm like, I've had enough. Like I was at the venue at the warehouse from like 6 a.m. in the morning. Like we had a bunch of production issues, which I was trying to help tidy up. And I get home and I'm ready to wrap up. I'm like, this is like, it's been like the longest day ever. I get a call from Mike, and Mike's just like, it's happening. And then I was like, what do you mean it's happening? He's like, what do you think is happening? How, like, have you seen this guy on YouTube? Have you seen like the fucking myth of Solumon at the Kick on King? He wants to go to a house, he wants to DJ, and there's an army of people here.
My request to you was to go, Phil, how quickly can you get speakers and decks to our house in Fitzroy? And he goes, what's happening? I go, you know what's happening.
Yeah.
Is Solomon going to come DJ the house? I go, yeah, he wants to DJ.
So Vedran, our housemate at the time, shout out Vedran for ruining.
Photo of Vedran appear.
Yeah.
Hey, you ever see this guy? We do love it.
Do you know who I want to hear from? I really want to hear from somebody, because it was meant to be at my house. We're handing out the address, and then it's like literally random people coming up to me, hey, where's the after party? 65, whatever. And I'm like, oh fuck, this is a bad idea. And thank God Vedran put his...
So Mike's called me. I've gone downstairs into Vedran's room, who's asleep. And I'm like, he usually gets pissed off when he gets woken up, but Solomon's his favorite DJ in the world. So, hey, maybe this time will be different. So I'm knocking his door. I'm like, hey, Veg. And he's just like, what? And I was like, look, I'm sorry to wake you up, but I feel like this is something which could excite you.
It's 6:30 a.m.
Yeah. Solomon wants to DJ here. Before I could finish the word here, he said, absolutely fucking not. Yeah. Not a chance in hell. He's like, Phil, 1,000 people will rock up at this house. This is a 3-story townhouse. People will fall off our balcony.
Yeah, he's like, people will die.
People will die if they
He's
come
probably
here.
right.
Yeah.
And so I had Phil goes, hey, Vedran's not allowing it. I go, are you serious? And shout out to amazing man Alex Donnan as well.
Yeah. Can we appear Alex Donnan's face? Yeah.
He's like, please have it at my house. And I go, are you serious? He goes, Solomon DJ at my house, please. Phil gets in the car, quickly grabs the speakers and the decks and whatever. And out of all things that became iconic for this night is...
I'll take over from here. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. You were talking well, but like I was physically the one at Donnan's house setting this up. So I found speakers. I found 2 CDJs and a DJ M900 mixer. For those who DJ, they know, you know what that is. And
yes,
I don't.
I don't know what that is.
There was like I got to his house and I like didn't bring a table on purpose because I'm like, surely anyone that
would have a
has
table.
a home has a dining room table or just a table in general. He doesn't have a table. He's got like a coffee table, impossible, a couple of like little like, you know, knee-high kind of tables in his backyard, and that was it. And I'm like, fuck, he's 15 minutes away. Everything's plugged in and ready to go. I just need to pick it up and put it on something. And then I look in the corner of the room and I see an ironing board. And I look at Don and Don looks at me and I'm like, it's the ironing board. And he's like, I don't think that's very safe. And I was like, we don't have any other choice. So I go grab the ironing board and just like open it up, put it down, put the decks on it. And I just kind of like, you know, when you press your weight on something just to make sure that it's going to be okay. And it just like made a couple of creaking noises. And I was like, you know what? If it collapses, it's part of the story.
Yeah,
it shouldn't really be playing here anyway.
Yeah.
So
Who I want to hear from is we changed the address up on the night. We're like, all right, quick new address, Carlton. I want to hear from anybody that rocked up
To your house.
to Rose Street, Fitzroy, and woke Vedran that night because he kept the doorbell. Solomon here? No. Solomon here?
So like, the funniest thought is Vedran walking out in his undies, like scratching his eyes, like, no, he's not fucking here.
But we ended up rocking up there, and it started off like because the address changed. It started off really tame. You know, 20, 30 people. Someone puts it on Instagram. Solomon DJing Sunrise. 50 people, 100 people. Suddenly, you can't move in the house. You can't get through the hallway at the front door because everybody's rocking up. And our friends' parents drive past, and they're like, Alex, no, mind you, let's just put it in perspective. 8 to 10:30 p.m. the night before, 12 to 6 in the morning at the club. He starts DJing at 7:30 on the ironing board. He finished up DJing at 7 p.m. that night, so did a full 12-hour stint. He went to the bathroom like once. Like he's a fucking
How's his legs get so sore standing up?
He's a machine.
He's a
An actual
machine. And it was literally at the point where, I mean, it was when talking about great performances, this is what this came off of. It was a fucking great DJ set as well.
Yeah,
it was like
really
that
good.
morning was amazing, and people kept seeing it on Instagram. And there was this whole thing. I speak to a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh, I saw it," and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be over soon. I won't go. It's not gonna be over soon." And then at like 6 p.m. and it's still going. I'm like, "What?" But our friend's parents drove past his house.
Were they living at the house too?
No.
gonna
So
say
they lived nearby, but we had just found some like guy that we're friends with to man the front door. We're like, all right, we're at 150 people. This is ridiculous. Like you cannot let anyone else in. And then we set someone up at the back.
Like, you know, what up?
Yeah. So we've basically got like a temporary security guard at the front door. This kid's like, yep, I'm on it. I've got it. It's this big moment. So he's like standing at the front door and there's like people rock up. He's like, nah, mate, not tonight. Nah, not tonight. Nah, just fucking knocking people left, right and center. And then he comes up to Mike and I and we're on the dance floor and he's like, hey guys, I got to talk to you about something. Like, man, we told you can't let anyone in. I'm sorry if you've got a friend outside. He's like, no, you don't understand. Come with me. And I look down the hallway and there's a guy there with a bouquet of flowers. And then I walk up to him and he's like, there's a queue of people behind him. And he's like, is it true? Is he here? And then I was like, did you went and bought those for this? And then he's like, yes, I need to give him these flowers. And I was like, all right, well, I guess we have to let you in because you've just gone and bought a bouquet of flowers.
So if you're going to cut to one thing, it's this video went viral on Mr. Afterparty. It's sitting on like 20 million views at the moment. So Solomon's about to drop a thing. The guy gets brought to the front of the crowd, gives him the flowers. Solomon's head goes down. He kisses Solomon on the head. And Solomon gets the flowers on the drop and just starts chucking him in the air.
This is on.
And someone filmed on their phone, sent it to Mr. Afterparty. And literally the caption is, Solomon DJs for 10 hours on an ironing board in Melbourne, Australia. And it's on 20 million views at the moment. That was also that night, because before that we were, we'd run Beyond the Valley. We'd launched Pitch Festival. We'd done Grapevine. We were looking at our business as a whole in terms of what are new products that we can develop for our market that aren't going to cannibalize one another. So Beyond the Valley is our big New Year's Eve camping event. Pitch is a more European inspired counterpart, electronic focus. Grapevine, wine festival for the love, very beachside boutique. And we were developing all these new kind of products, but we didn't actually have a banner or a name. And that was at that Solomon party was the first event that we ran as Untitled. That was the launch.
So that's when you started the whole group.
That was when we started Untitled because everyone said, "What? We need a name for you guys." We were like, what are we going to call you? You need a name. You need
Sick name. You've done well. You got to be happy with that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Unbelievable. Tell me, look, honestly, I hope you guys got more time because I don't want to finish anytime soon. Rap battle, you toured with Wu-Tang Clan. I've heard this infamous story, Mike.
I thought you were going to make me rap battle now.
No. I've known this, that you have a special talent. I'm not going to put you on the spot now, but you are incredibly good at this. But what's this story with Wu-Tang Clan and touring with them?
Before he begins the story, I can vouch for that. Mike does have an amazing talent at freestyling,
spitting bars,
which is so funny for a guy as white as him.
Yeah, it's when I'm drunk and like on tour with the Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah, it just gets like.
So is it true you beat one of them in a rap battle? Close to.
Look, he gave him.
He held his own.
Okay, so what actually happened was the two supports for that tour were Ivan Ooze and Nico Ghost. Nico Ghost, rapper that I managed at the time, and Ivan is managed by Nick Recco, one of our business partner.
I remember meeting him in Sydney with you. Remember?
Ivan. I was
up there in Sydney with you one night, and he was there.
We had this like kind of like rap battle backstage. And I don't want to claim to beat the Wu-Tang Clan in rap battle because like then it'll be like, oh, Beat Magazine or something. Cool, promoter claim. Then
you don't want to get too famous.
Yeah. But I did smoke you, Ivan. Nico. But probably one of the funniest things that happened that trip was touring around with that many people, logistics and everything like that, and there was a bit of an incident with like the hotel room keys getting mixed up. It was honestly one of the best experiences. They were the loveliest guys. The shows were amazing. And instead of hiring tour managers, we tour managed a few of them each. So Nick took like Ghostface Killer, I took Inspector Deck, Phil took RZA, and we just like kind of like, yeah, what do you guys want to do? Like, how do you want to take them around? And there was this incident where I gave Inspector Deck we explained the wrong hotel room thing.
Master Killer.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, it was Master Killer. Sorry. That's why I got the. That's right, because I got the rooms confused. Gave the wrong room keys, and I gave him one of Nico's room keys. And there was this moment where we were all asleep in our rooms, and you just hear like in the hallway, "What are you doing in my room?" and then we come out into the hallway, and I can confirm the entire Wu-Tang Clan in their pajamas with Nico, and everyone's going, "What's going on? He's in my room." No, you got the rooms confused. That's this, that. And we kind of had to like simmer that whole thing. But in the end, it was a successful tour, and everyone was happy. And hopefully that's another artist we hope to have back one day soon.
Definitely. You've both won some awesome awards. Phil, you got acknowledged for the work with AbilityFest that you've done. Talk us a bit through that. And I know, Mike, you've been acknowledged with a Richard Branson type of award as well. So I want to hear both about these. Phil, firstly with AbilityFest, which is obviously, if you've heard Dylan Alcott's podcast, as I'm sure you have, is one of the most unbelievable festivals to date. It's got accessibility for anyone that with a disability and doing incredible things.
Yeah. So AbilityFest is, well, I guess credit to like all of us as a team and the Dylan Alcott Foundation, all of our employees and my partners and stuff. But it was just through hanging out with Dylan at parties and stuff. And he was like, I want to start Australia's first all-inclusive festival. And I want all, the money to go to my foundation, the Dylan Alcott Foundation, who are doing amazing things. Basically the way that it all works. And I got recognized by the National Disability Insurance Scheme and in an interview during the festival. And we just bring in a lot of infrastructure for people of all abilities. So Auslan interpreters, scaffold structures that, for wheelchair access, a lot of accessible toilets. There's like the mother of accessible toilets called a Marveloo. It's like this big shipping container converted bathroom, which has like a whole bunch of facilities in it that we got. We had a sensory room that ANZ, we did a commercial partnership with for people that, had like sensory disabilities and needed a quiet place effectively. So it was we also had guide dogs there as puppies that people could go and pat and stuff in an area that was away from the music and stuff. And we're very proud of AbilityFest. It's kind of, we've had a few charity initiatives as part of our process of growing as a company that we're very passionate about, and we're proud to say that we've raised over $500,000
massive, man.
For that foundation,
So
which is great because it goes towards young Australians of all abilities who may require infrastructure or education around,
I think even just from chatting to Dylan, like the about AbilityFest is just the awareness around it. Like you just being an able-bodied person, selfishly, you don't understand what someone with a disability has to go 100%. Through to enjoy, to have fun. And he tells an incredible story about a guy that, said that was the best day of his life. And that is just fucked.
That guy, I went through that guy, Luke, I went through a heavy gaming phase when I was 16.
Yeah.
And Luke was like my gaming buddy when we were playing Xbox back in Bundoora. And seeing him at the event, I haven't seen him. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, man, he was sipping Asahis. And I was like, he just had the best day of his life. But I think probably the best thing my favorite thing about AbilityFest is, credit to Phil. He does a lot of work on the infrastructure to making sure everyone's catered for. But the viewing platforms that we have, the sensory, everything, it's not for, this is for people that might have a disability.
Everyone can enjoy it. Yeah.
So my family's up there with everyone and everyone's mingling and mixing, and it's just a fully inclusive festival. Yeah. And it's just hopefully, what the future should be and how we should have integrate into all events.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not commercially viable, but it's a really good step in the right direction. Something we hope to, use as a leader globally.
Awesome, man. And how did you become friends with Richard Branson?
He calls him Rich.
Richard. Dicky. Dick Rich.
There's this amazing organisation called Igniting Change, headed up by a great lady called Jane Tewson here in Melbourne. They do a lot of work. Definitely look up Igniting Change, and they're a intentionally small charity, so they work with macro change on a micro scale. So changing one life or one group of thing at a time, and then that goes on to help other people and whatnot. And I've been doing a bit of work with they've got a great place called PCY in St Kilda, and their Music for Youth program and whatnot. And look, long story short, one day Jane just pulls me in and has a chat to me and goes, we're running a summit, it's called Igniting Wonder on Necker Island, which is Richard Branson's island. And I'm looking at the guest list, and I really think that you'd be a great guest and would like to invite you. And I grew up reading Richard Branson's books. He's actually what got me into, that first
entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not real life. Like this is sure, this is joking. And fast forward to March last year, and I got to spend some amazing time with him. It was so funny. We went on this bike ride where he's like, "Oh, who wants to come on my morning bike ride this morning?" Yeah. I've got no ACL in my knee. My knee's fucked. Haven't ridden a bike in years.
I'm under 15s.
Have to warn you. It is 20 Ks all uphill. Like it's intense. I was gonna cry before I did. I was talking to my partner Erica, and I was like, I shouldn't go on. I'm going to be a failure. I'm going to do this. And she's like, it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Well, lucky they had one of those trail cars following us that you could stop at any time. So everyone got way ahead, and I just got on the car the whole race. Got off at the end of it, pedaled for the last 100, and it was like, yeah, great job. But I got to spend some time not only with Richard, but some amazing entrepreneurs that are doing a lot of philanthropic work, and just a lot of like the people that we met were just great people. Bjarke Ingels is like an architect building the first building on the moon at the moment.
Yep.
Just doing all these crazy things that are real leaders in their field. And I was honored to kind of come and talk about the challenges that we face in the music industry, and things like drug policy, which and a lot of talk around climate action and climate policy here in Australia. Sustainability, which is something that we're passionate about, and something we're going to be launching later this year. Keep your eyes peeled. We've got a few. One of the greatest things about Untitled, and why I was really honored again to spend some time with Richard and those people, because we have a big voice within the youth community. And if we are starting all these events, and every year people are coming through, we've got a change, an opportunity to drive social change, which I think is really important. And what corporations really should be doing, because corporations, particularly the big ones and whatnot, they've got the real power to do that. And I feel like that's what we got to really be driving, and particularly with like climate action and green initiatives, and something that we'll be announcing later this year, which is really exciting.
100%, man. You guys are doing some incredible things. Like, you think about the surface level of festivals is where you got your game, but like beyond the valley pitch, Wildlands, Grapevine, which is coming up shortly, For the Love and Ability Fest. But as you said, you're turning Untitled Group more into an independent support for artists and change and all these things. Like, what's next for Untitled Group? You've just touched on it then, but it's not just going to be in this festival arena, is it? It's everything. It's supporting artists and also change in young people.
Well, I'll let Mike speak on some of the initiatives that we've jumped on board with outside of music, but some kind of stuff which kind of vertically integrates into our business quite seamlessly. We've got a booking agency which we launched this year, which has been super successful, and a record label and a management arm of the company. And that's all just kind of aimed around fostering talent and finding emerging, developing talent, and, you know, building them and using the resources that we have to help them record music, perform in front of the live like the right audiences and stuff. But outside of that, and I know like COVID's a pretty tired discussion topic, but we last year we got pretty busy in a few other areas while we couldn't run festivals, and Mike had a great deal of work.
Yeah,
great deal into that.
We kind of just looked at, like, if we can't run events and whatnot, what are the other little areas that we can help in, and some good companies that we just happen to be around and invested in and whatnot. There's this amazing one. If you own a cafe or a restaurant, there's Mr. Yum. You might have seen.
Is that you?
Oh no, it's a friend of ours that built it up. We invested in it during COVID.
Wow. Yeah, I see that everywhere, man. Mr. Yum. It's like what you order all your drinks and food off at bars.
The greatest thing is that, so because of the QR, it's so simple. People were ordering off the menu.
It should have been the way we've been doing things for years.
Well, because people were ordering through Instagram, they're looking at photos and going, oh, I want that, I want that. So they put the QR code on the menu, and what they noticed was as people scan the QR code and the picture menu pops up, the average order was going up by 20 to 30%.
Wow.
Because people aren't rushed to order and whatnot. So it's such a simple initiative and just changing the way the future is. And now they're over in the US and taking off through the US. So that's a great company. We launched a fitness brand called 20V.
Heard of this? That's why you guys are looking so freaking handsome right now.
I was waiting for you to mention
God,
that.
I can't even right now.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I can't even.
If anybody's here heard of like EMS, electromuscular stimulation.
I don't reckon they would have, but explain it.
Well, mate, okay, so
because it's quite intricate, isn't it? It's a new fitness
tagline.
form.
In Europe, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
everyone's going crazy there. But it's very new here in Australia, and everyone's going crazy over it because the tagline is 20 minutes in the gym. 20 minutes equals 4 hours in the gym.
So good.
Or 20 minutes there equals 90 minutes of HIIT workout, which is, people see that and they go, that's just a gimmick tagline. No joke. 20 minutes there. And the reason being is because when you traditional weight training, it's weight bearing. You're using a weight to oppose your contraction of your muscle, and that's what tears the muscle or not. With EMS, you're using a current that you get your baseline reading, and the current makes your muscle contract. And when you're doing movements that oppose that contraction and whatnot, you're tearing the muscle fiber essentially.
Yep.
So instead of doing, I'm going to do biceps for 10 minutes, I'm going to do legs for 10 minutes, I'm going to do chest for 10 minutes, it's like doing bicep curls, triceps, abs,
at
squats,
once.
And cardio.
At once, at cardio. 4 seconds on, 4 seconds off, 4 seconds on, 4 seconds off for 20 minutes straight. And everybody sees it and they go, you guys are cheating.
I'm coming.
Yeah, you got to come down, mate.
Where's the studio at the moment?
First one's in Paran, so 20V in Paran. But we've got one opening up soon, over the South Melbourne, Port Melbourne area.
Love it.
And then there's going to be a few north side, and then some in Sydney. Oh, and Gold Coast, we've got one in the Gold Coast at the moment in Broadbeach.
Man, you guys are fucked. Honestly, actually, fuck off. Like you just do too much cool shit. Like, what is there anything else what else is on the horizon? Like, I genuinely think you're doing everything.
Anything that we're kind of involved in though is stuff that we've seen and gone, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like more people should be doing that. Like, we really do back the EMS training stuff. There's a few companies doing it. We've kind of bought the highest grade machines and got the really good trainers and whatnot for 20V. So Mr. Yum, that stuff. There's some other kind of things that we do with our business.
Muso, good one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a similar platform to what Fire Festival didn't do right. Muso is kind of doing it right.
Yeah. If you're an independent, if you're like an up and coming musician and you want to look to get gigs at venues, because most gig bookings don't happen at concert venues like the Forum or I think they all happen at pubs, birthdays,
Northcote Socials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so it's just a good platform for venues and artists alike to kind of find each other. But in terms of like the more Untitled stuff, we have been focusing a lot of our energy and attention towards doing smaller shows at the moment. We did a few shows with the Arts Centre at the Sydney Maya Music Bowl, one with Running Touch and one with a festival that we run called Sun Cycle. Outside of that, we've it's been kind of week by week at the moment in terms of the capacity.
Just bouncing back from everything as well, I suppose, building it up. Because you've got Grapevine coming up when?
Grapevine is coming up in October.
And Inspired Unemployed hosting that.
Yeah, they're going to be hosting, they're going to be DJing, they're going to be
we spoke to those guys. We went up to Sydney and chatted about like, what's it going to be like, the hosting and figuring out the DJ sets. They're super excited. And, we got onto that when they were taking off during COVID. They only had a couple 100,000, tens of thousands of followers. and now look at them. And
I hope you locked them in earlier than when they were on 1 million.
We started negotiating it early, but by the time,
damn
But but yeah, Grapevine's going to be a big moment.
When can we actually I'm not even plugging this, but I'm keen as fuck. When can we actually get tickets for that? Are they available?
It's sold out.
Fantastic.
Look, Grapevine.
Can I just call you like I used to?
Just call us out the front. We'll come outside. We'll give you a fucking a wristband.
Right now, so Grapevine's done and dusted for October.
Yep.
We've got For the Love Festival on sale still in the moment in Queensland and Perth. There's still some tickets on that, but I think we're gearing up now for the big New Year's festivals, which is, Beyond the Valley,
BTV,
and whatnot. But I think the best thing is just, if you're interested in those events, I think just staying up to date with with us on Instagram and being part of our mailing
Untitled
list.
group.
Yeah, Untitled group.
And you can get on the mailing list and just be on it all.
Yeah. But in terms of, it's been kind of nice to kind of grease the wheels again, running these smaller events. We've been doing a lot of shows at the Timber Yard and.
Have you seen those events?
I will remember we spoke earlier about not answering my calls for the last 5 years. So I've sort of been trying to get to a few,
we've been in the party just.
Yeah, I've been out the front calling with no answering.
It was really good inside.
It's good. This podcast actually wasn't to tell your story. It was just to rekindle again friendship and hopefully get you answering my calls.
You said this was lunch.
Yeah, it was meant to be lunch. Mike said, let's get lunch. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm probably a doubt to not see him again for another 6 years. So maybe let's just do the podcast first over lunch.
Well, actually, you know what? I said to Phil, because I was like, fuck, Dill grilled me. And I was like, because obviously I'm at the club every week. I'm at the event every week. You know where to find me. Come down.
Yeah, it's true. No, it is true. No, it's both ways, but
I'm joking.
It's definitely both ways. But I was like, you know what? I know how busy I am these days. I know how busy everyone is. I know how busy you guys are. But I was like, one thing that I've been really big on this year is like being present. I'm trying to be better at with my relationships. And I was like, 100%. I've known these two guys for so long that I can't afford to just let good friendships not catch up. And not that our friendship was ever going to leave, but I was like, we catch up today.
That's why when you called me up, I was like, he's like, mother.
Yeah.
So I won't swear.
I had a go. I was like, man, fuck you. You owe me an apology. You owe me an apology.
You know what's so great is that we reference, we sold a few stories about Suede and things like that. That under 15s, that football team, and that was genuinely the formation of a lot of things that started.
Yeah, it was such a tight bond and friendship group that you bump into anyone nowadays that was within that footy club, like Alex Miles, Andrew Schoolos. I love bumping into Andy Schoolos.
Brock, Hal, G-Boy.
Yeah, G-Boy.
Gabe Hamilton. Yeah, it's incredible, man. And just to, even when I tell my mates, I know these guys, and they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, well, I actually do. It's, it's crazy. But nah, man, you guys, honestly, I couldn't, honestly, as a friend, just be prouder of what you've done. Not just proud, but fucking, you give me so much motivation to just not just do my thing, but I think even the listeners, they're going to walk out today of listening to this hour and a half chat and just be like, fuck it, why can't I do this? And that's the biggest message that I want to send to people is I'm not doing fucking anything, but I am because I just do it. Yeah. And you guys were the pioneers of that. You just fucking do shit. And I think that's the biggest message that any young person or old person, anytime, just go for it.
Probably one of the biggest things to take from that whole just doing it mentality, not to quote Nike or anything.
Yeah.
Can we make the Nike logo up here?
Is that, we were scared, and it's that initial step of action. People scared of failure that makes them stop. And one of the biggest things that I think is great was people that were older, people that were mentors or helped us, that were just in the industry with no commercial gain or anything from it, that just were happy to talk to a bunch of young kids starting up a festival and had no ulterior agendas or motives. And we like to think that we are now starting to do that with a lot of young promoters and artists and stuff coming through, empowering them. If you want to get into events, or if you want to do that, take the right avenues, take the right mean, drop someone a nice note and say, hey, can I get your email address? I'd like to send you a message. Find someone on Instagram and drop them a message and say, hey, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because ultimately the worst thing that can happen is if someone else just wants to ignore you or be a dick about it, that's on them. But we really love seeing people that are open and ambitious and like, I wanted to do this or that. And it's great just seeing a lot of friends like yourself doing great things and putting themselves out there. And and at the core of it's just passion. You're passionate about this and you could feel it. And it's been a great chat, Dill.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Nah, guys, thanks so much. As I said earlier, it's fantastic. Nearly tear in my eye, bringing it back, all the incredible memories. And as I said, I can't further more how proud I am of both of you and what you've been able to achieve, and big things to come still. So not only are you dominating, but you're having a massive impact on a lot of people. So can't thank you enough for coming in, and let's not wait too long between drinks.
No, I think at this rate with the stories as well, I think we'll probably
I think we've got a few more that we,
Dylan Friends will be probably number one podcast.
Yeah. Well, it already is. And again, that shows you that you don't know anything about my
it's
life.
number one podcast in sports. I was going to say congratulations, mate.
I've actually been paying attention to it. I watched the Dylan Alcott one. You don't know shit about Dylan Friends. Thank you very much.
I just said number one in the world. I know it's number one in sports. Thank you very much. Congratulations on that, Dylan.
He told you that.
It's fine. I love you both. No matter what.
Love you, Dylan.
We've been through too much, and let's go of a bloke and a bar beer.
Done.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
This week's episode is brought to you by Stuffed. Gone are the days of spraying deodorant as a weird flex to get girls or a chiseled pack of abs. Being a man is not about how good you look, but how good you feel. And thank goodness this day and age we have Stuff. Stuff keeps things simple and real for men with their range of personal care. Finally, there is a brand that men can align with that actually reflects the real world. No BS. Stuff champions healthy masculinity and also helps fund men's mental health via their charity partner, the Man Cave. By using Stuff, you're not only feeling good, but doing good. They've got stuff for your body, your head, your face, your pits, and all the important bits. It's Australian made, cruelty free, planet friendly, and contains no bad stuff like parabens and aluminium. So get around it and buy it for yourself and your mates, and you'll be supporting young men's mental health while feeling fresh AF. Use the code STUFFDIL for 20% off at the websiteofstuff.com. That's 20% off with the code STUFFDIL at the website www.websiteofstuff.com.